Hello, early learners, and welcome back to the art room. We have an exciting week planned today. We have a color week. I was thinking about what I wanted to do, and at first I thought I'd do more things about insects, but then insect study for Fresno Unified will be over soon, and I thought color week would be super fun, and I found a bunch of books that would show us different ways colors are put together. Now, I wanted to remind you the things that we already know. The primary colors, think in your head, what were the primary colors? Oh yes, red, yellow, and blue. And all other colors can be made with those using black and white as tints and shades. All right, so let's sing our good morning song, and I'm taking us back to an old song we sang long ago, and I don't know if it's been maybe a year since we sang it. And it's about a duck, a cow, a rooster, a sheep, a cat, and a picture of me. So I like to start out with a big, oh, so we're going to say, oh, the duck says quack, and the cow says moo, and the old red rooster says cock-a-doodle-doo. The sheep says baa, and the cat says mew. And I say good morning when I see you. Now I have to remind you that when we say the cat, usually we say a cat says meow, but we're going to say mew because it rhymes with you. So that's our good morning song. Now, we're going to talk about the colors. So all the primary colors can be made into secondary colors, because if we say, let's take red and yellow, and when we put it together, what color does it make? Orange, that's right. And today I am wearing my sunflower shoes. I have the Van Gogh sunflower print because in the book I'm reading, it's called One World, Many Colors. We're going to see a page that looks like this. It is this page, and here is our author, Alette Strathoff. And let me tell you a couple of things about Alette. Alette is an illustrator who lives and works in Paris, France. She graduated in 2016 from an academy in Rotterdam in the Netherlands, and she likes to hide little things inside the books, little details for people to discover. So if you can check the book out that I'm going to read and find all the little things she has hidden. Here she has a scarecrow that he's supposed to kind of look like Vincent van Gogh to remind us of the sunflower print. And what we're going to do is cut the horizon line in on our artwork today, put a few hills behind, add some sky, and if you want to put some buildings in the background, but really I wanted to look at the sunflowers. And I brought a little vase of flowers I'll show you when we start the project. But the ones in front are bigger because when you're close to something, the items are larger and the flowers start getting smaller and smaller and smaller until it looks like maybe it's an ant's sunflower way in the back. And the ones up in front have more detail, and you can see the center is kind of polka dotted. This one has a brown center, then a yellow center, then a dark brown center, and we can look at those, and then she inserts some green leaves on the edges too. And we've done a few sunflower projects. So this is going to be using colored pencils for me and some watercolor. And you might use your crayons or any of your other tools for coloring. Now you may not want to do yellow sunflowers. I'm going to do it as close to this as I think I can do because I love the combination of all these warm colors. Do you remember the difference between warm and cool colors? I thought I'd remind us in this picture. These are all warm with the exception of the green leaves, and these are all cool. So the sky is a cool blue, the hills are a cool green, and then all of these are warm. And we remember cool is like ice and snow and sky and water, and warm colors are reds and yellows and oranges. All right, let's get started and take a look at our book that we're going to be reading today. I'll set my clipboard over here and get this book called One World, Many Colors. I'll put the flowers over a little bit. One World, Many Colors. It's by Ben Lurwill, and the illustrator is Alette Strathoff. And you can see I put a little mark, and it will show us the page that has the sunflowers on it. It's a brand new book. One World, Many Colors. Now, I went back and forth about would I like to do the sunflowers or would I like to do this snake that's in the last page. And I thought the sunflowers would be really fun, but look at all the patterns on this. It's a snake, kind of like the lion dancing dragon that they do at Chinese New Year, or the lion. So let's take a look at the book. One World, Many Colors. You can see why I chose this book. Look at all the colors just on the title page. One World, Many Colors. There's a red double-decker bus riding along here. Here's the dragon lion puppet, though it's actually, they get inside and dance inside it. There's so many colors. And here, surrounding it all the way around, are our sunflowers. And you'll see how many colors we go through. Later on in the week, we're going to be talking about buildings in Disneyland, because one of the artists that designed the Small World ride is going to be someone we take a look at. We share one world. We share many colors. White shines and sparkles. Now, there are other things that are read in smaller print here, boys and girls, and it describes the Antarctic, and it also describes the deserts. But I'm just reading the big words so that we can get started with our project. It's in sunny Australia. This is an opera house that's in Sydney, and it's on the edge of the ocean, and it has the most interesting roof. And you can see the cars going over the bridge nearby, people walking and cycling below, and all the boats that go by. We see all the colors of water, a lot of cool colors. Pink blooms and brightens. It's in the blossoms of Japan. Now, we know in the springtime in Japan, the cherry trees grow thousands of little flowers, and the petals are light and soft. And here is a Paris bakery that this artist really understands because she lives down the street from this. And there are little pink cookies on here and a pink background on the inside of the bakery. Look at the pink here. It's on a wide lake in Kenya. These flamingos are balancing on long legs, and some of them are dipping their beaks in the water. They live under big African skies. You've probably seen them at the zoo, but this is their natural habitat. Yellow glows and gleams. It's in a soccer stadium in Brazil, and the fans are cheering and they sing songs, and when their team scores a goal, they give a roar as loud as thunder. And it goes like this, goal! And there's yellow on the cities of New York, on the streets. If you've ever been to New York, the streets are filled with cars that you can pay money to ride in. They're taxi cabs. Hardly anyone drives their own cars there because there's such a hard time parking. And look at all the colors in the buildings above. This is such a beautiful book. What do you notice? Here's where my little tag is, and it's the one that I hung up on the chart. It's in the sunflower fields of Spain, and the flowers are swaying in the breeze. There are too many flowers to count. The only sound is the whisper of the wind. One of the books I'm reading this week is asking us what color is the wind. And I can't wait to read it to you, but this thinks, they say the flowers are making a sound because the wind whoosh through them. And there is that building in the background. The watercolors that they did on the sky, they first painted, I can see, a paintbrush full of water and then added their colors. So some is dark and some is light. And I'd like us to try that. This scarecrow has on Picasso's striped shirt. What color do you think they're talking about on this page? Blue. Blue shimmers and soars. It's in the deep ocean. Now, the blue whale is the giant of the seas. The biggest animal on planet Earth. It has an enormous tail and it moves slowly and steadily as it swims. And it's in the sky above Mount Everest. This mountain is so high that it can take 2 whole months for climbers to reach the top. It's in the Canadian woods in the winter. Shh, it's a blue jay. All the trees are covered in glittering snow, and the bird's bright feathers help to keep it warm. Next color is green. Green glistens and glows. It's in the wilds of South Africa. A chameleon, that's this kind of lizard-looking animal with its tail in a little curl. It's slinking along on a branch, and it's green now, but it has a secret. It can change color to match whatever background it's on. The green is in the countryside of Vietnam. The farmers in the rice field are wearing wide hats to shelter them from the sun. The field is very green, so the rice is nearly ready. It's in the Amazon rainforest. The tangled green jungle is swarming with life, monkeys and toucans, jaguars and parrots, butterflies and snakes. She asks us to look and see how many animals can you see. If you can check this book out from the library, you could spend a lot of time. 1, 2, oh, there's a tiny little red frog. It will take you a while to count how many animals. Look at the next color, red. Red dances and dreams. It's in Hong Kong at Chinese New Year. Lanterns are hanging in rows. Fireworks are bursting in the night sky, and the lanterns give off a rosy glow. And the red is in London at rush hour. A double-decker bus is driving across Westminster Bridge. Drifting everywhere are the noises of the city. Look, it's the Tower of Big Ben. It's in Egypt at sunset. The pyramids are old, mighty, and silent. As the day ends, the sun's last rays wash the ancient stones in red light. I just saw a beautiful picture of Half Dome in Yosemite lit up from the sun, and it made it look like it was on fire. We share one world. We share many colors. Alrighty, so all of the art was done by Alette Strathoff, the one that we're talking about today, and we're going to do the sunflower picture. So I'm going to get out my art supplies and show you my flowers I brought today. These are not sunflowers, but they look kind of like the flowers that are in the book, so I brought them. I cut them from my garden. I also have this very interesting blue one. It grows first as a little round ball, and then it sends out these purpley blue flowers, and then these little tiny daisies, and this purple one grows, and it grows on a long purple stem. I probably can't even see it because it's so dark. Let me put it back in here. All right, I'll put the book back up here. I'll get my table, put my pointer stick away. Boys and girls, are you going to use, which coloring tools do you think you'll use today? I think I'll use a small paper and see if I can get more done than I thought I would. Unclip, unclip. I'll bring this down as my inspiration. Now, you remember we talked about the horizon line? Now, the horizon line is the line where the sky meets the land. So the yellow is my horizon line here, but then also I could say it goes this way, all the way up and over the mountain, so that you can decide how you're going to do your landscape. So let me put this here. I'm going to start out with my colored pencil, the one that does not blend when I use my watercolor, the water and the brush. So I'm going to do my horizon, and I'm making it yellow, but maybe I should do it green so you can see it. I'm just putting it like 2/3 of the way up. You can see what you think about that. And I'm making it kind of wavy. And the reason I'm making it wavy is so that you can see the flowers as they grow. And I'm going to put my mountains there. So I'm going to bring it down from the side and make it meet. There's one green mountain. Trying to make it so that the camera can pick it up, boys and girls, so you can see it a little bit. And then I'll make another mountain. And I'm just hooking it onto the mountain before. I think I'll use a little gray for another mountain, because as it starts going back into the distance, it gets a little darker and a little grayer. So there we go. And I also have my watercolors, but I think what I'll do is put a little water with a brush on my paper above. Perhaps I should draw my flowers first so that my arm doesn't go across it when and get my paint all over my arms. Now I'm going to use brown and a couple of shades of brown because that's what they did a lot of the centers. And I'm going along in the front with some bigger centers with my watercolor pencils. And I'm going to draw some circles. If you want to do this kind of flower, then make a bunch of kind of same size circles along here. It might be the same size around as your thumbprint, maybe. I'm doing them a little bigger because I'm trying to do my paper where you can see it. And around that, I'm going to make some darker brown. I'm going to do it on all of them, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Or I could point my table down a little bit more. Sometimes I worry when I do that the paper will get away from me and I'll have to jump up and you'll see me scootering all over the studio trying to catch my runaway paper. That happened one day, and the man who was helping me at the camera, he had to scoot and he tried to hand me the paper without getting in the camera. We did a lot of laughing about that. Okay, so you can see how I did all the centers of my flowers down at the bottom. Oh, and you can see kind of the mountains in the back. Now I'm going to start out. These flowers each have petals that go around in little loops. Now I've seen children make flowers and they just go scoot, 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 just little circles. And if that's how you want to make yours, then do that. But I'm going to do one at a time. And I'm coloring in the centers of my flowers so that when my water touches it, it will color in the centers a little bit more. This one that isn't striped, that's the regular pencil, and it won't blend when I put water on it. So I think some of it I will do with the regular colored pencils so that I can do some outlines. So I'm going to do some outlines of some flowers. So I'm doing the petals like fingers coming off of the center. I touch the center and go out, touch the center and go out, touch the center and go out. And each of these flowers, excuse me, I've had a little crackly voice today. Each of these flowers has a different look about it. So each one doesn't have to have the same number of petals or doesn't have to have the same shape. Maybe on some of them, I will make them have some square ends, kind of like the ones that are on my table there. They have little zigzag ends. So you can make your flowers however you want, remembering that the ones in front are big and it will go smaller and smaller on our way out. I'm outlining those because then I can use my watercolor pencils and color in each of the petals so that when I watercolor them, and you notice I told you about these watercolor pencils, you just have to put a little bit in there, and then when you put water on them, it blends it, and it doesn't look like you just put one line of color in there. So this is kind of fun to use these pencils. And some of them I will use the watercolor pencil, and some of them I will outline first. This one I'm just going to do some long lines of petals. And I have to remember too that I'm going to do some green ones so that I'm remembering this one's the little stripy one. So this is the one when I touch it with water, it will change its color and make it go into a whole blended yellow part. Now this isn't, I'm kind of going fast because I want to make sure you know what mine looks like when I'm finished. But you can take your time. You don't have to speed through this. But when we only have 30 minutes together, I like to make sure that you see the beginning, middle, and end of the project. I think I'll do some orange ones here because there are some orange ones on this one, and I'll make some petals that I'll color in with a different color. And with this as the outline and a different color inside, I think it will blend into being a different color because I'll have two colors to mix. This one I'm just making orange petals just out like that. So when I go to paint it, it will make each petal. Shall we look at it and see what it looks like with the petals now? I don't care if my paper gets a little wet. I'll be careful not to drag my arm through it. And then I'll start making a few more small ones. So let me put this back. I'll get a smallish brush, maybe two brushes, a bigger one and a smaller one. And I'll put them in the water. And there hasn't been anything in this water, so it's clean and it won't make other colors mix together. So now I'm touching the color. Oh, it's blending it. I wish you could see this really, really up close, boys and girls, because it really makes the watercolor look like I've been dipping it into my watercolors rather than just blending with a pencil. This is such a nice project to have when you're on a trip, because you don't have to carry water if you have the watercolor paint brushes. I had them in my I did a family art night online for anyone who signed up, and I used my water brushes that have water inside that I got from the art store. And so that you never have to carry water with you, and you can just use the watercolor pencils, and it blends it all together and makes it really pretty. Now I'm going to do a little circling around on my center because all the browns are starting to mix together. I wonder if I hold it up if you can see it a little better. Oh, you can. Look at that. All right, going around. While I'm painting in on this water, I know we've still got quite a bit of time, but I thought this would be a perfect time since I'm just going to keep doing what I already explained, so you don't need a new explanation. I want to tell you about tomorrow. So tomorrow, we're going to meet another artist, a color artist. She's famous for her pouring watercolors onto paper. And I'll explain more about it tomorrow, but I have food color that I'm going to paint with. And I'm going to pour some and paint some, and then she would tip her paper sideways and let water run off. So if you are going to come tomorrow, bring a little container if you're going to pour watercolors, and because I'm going to pour it into a dish so it doesn't go on the studio or on my furniture. And it may be one that your family says, oh, this is an outside project, my friend, because it's going to be a little messy. But you'll see it's going to be about the ocean and the sky. It's a bay that she paints. Oh, this is looking pretty good if you ask me. Now I'm going to use my regular watercolors to do my mountains, and I'm going to get in with the dark green on this one and put it in on the edge with the dark green. And I think I must have at one time mixed some blue on there because it has kind of a blue hint on it. But this is kind of the color that she did for her leaves. I think I'll put a few leaves in here. See how I'm just going in between where I see a little space? Put some leaves in there. This project will not be finished today, boys and girls, but you can sure do a bunch of it today. And please, I know I always ask you, but if you would take a picture of your art or of you doing your art, that would be super nice for me to see, because I like to put it on my website and show people the projects and what you have done. I'm going to add a little brown, I think, to the green and make it, oh, it's kind of dark. I'm going to make this mountain a little greener, a little blue greener. You can tell the difference between where one mountain stops and one mountain starts. And then this one had kind of a gray, so I'm going to leave a little paint on my brush, but get in the lid and mix it up with a little black, make it sort of gray. So I'll go there. Now I wanted to show you how I was going to put a little water on my sky, and then, oh, I might even have to use my golden paintbrush. Usually I use this just for pointing to things in the pictures, but I am going to put, let me show you the water. I'm getting my water and putting this flat big brush, and I'm going to start on the edge and go across and get my paper wet just right to the horizon line, not get it on my mountains. And I won't use that brush to paint with, but I will get some blue. I'll make some light blue, and wherever it touches the water, do you see how it kind of just goes, bleeds down? So pretty. Catch your drips, Mrs. Reed Wright. So boys and girls, I've got my horizon line, the sky, the sunflowers. I still need to put smaller ones in, but our time is running out, so I wanted to say, oh, it's time to say goodbye to all my friends. Oh, it's time to say goodbye to all my friends. Oh, it's time to say goodbye. Give a smile and wink your eye. Oh, it's time to say goodbye to all my friends. I'll see you tomorrow when we do Helen Frankenthaler and watercolors.